Welcome to the June 7th meeting. We were in recess for closed session. We're back in session now. I'd like you all to please stand and join us in the flag salute. Councilperson Comstock will be leading us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Our first presentation this evening is from Chino American Little League. They're going in support of Ayala Fields 5 and 6, the renovation project. I'd like to call it Victor Medina, who is the president of Chino American Little League. Victor?
Hello, how are you? This is for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Ulloa and members of the council. I want to thank you for your support on the lights for Field 5. It's been a great addition to our league. This year, we've had close to 300 participants this year, so it's been really good for them. Also would like to thank Ted, Bobby, and Ryan for all their support at the park. Also, we are hosting our majors All-Stars there, starting July 18th. So we're going to have about 7 other parks coming to see our field. Yep, we're going to have a couple of night games out there, and yeah, welcome, and hope to see you guys out there. So the check is for the renovations on Field 5 and 6. We didn't have lights in the past, which helps us have more games at night. Who doesn't like to play under the lights out there? So yes, and this is what this is for. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next presentation is the May Business of the Month. Now, it takes all kinds of businesses to serve a community's needs, from grocery stores to clothing stores, and even a neighborhood coffee shop. But a florist holds a special place in our hearts. They help our citizens celebrate special occasions and provide comfort and beauty in times of sadness. This flower and gift shop has been a staple in Chino for over 80 years. They were the first flower shop in the city and have remained a flower shop through generations of varied family ownership. We'd like to recognize Chino Florist and Gift as our May Business of the Month. Now I'd like to invite Daryl Morgan of Chino Florist and Gifts to join me up front. Chino Florist and Gifts is a family-run small business serving the Chino Valley and surrounding Inland Empire that specializes in custom creative floral arrangements for celebrations, events, and sympathy. Located on Central Avenue, Chino Florist and Gifts has been a fixture in the community since 1939. As longtime members of the community, Chino Florist and Gifts works with Think and Local, a charity organization that donates a percentage of each sale to fundraisers of the customer's choice. Most of the fundraisers are to the benefit of youth and school extracurricular activities in the Chino Valley and surrounding communities. Please join me in congratulating Chino Florist and Gifts for providing beautiful flowers, quality gifts, and being our May 2022 Business of the Month recipient. And I'd like to present you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Daryl Morgan. I'm the owner of Chino Florist and Gifts, and I feel very humbled and honored to receive this award tonight. It's not without the support of our community and the support of my family and friends that I would be here accepting this today. So again, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. And we actually have 2 gifts for you, Mayor Ulloa, and for Councilwoman Comstock, and they're here. Ladies. Thank you so much. Oh, you're welcome.
Goodness, they're beautiful.
Thank you.
Mayor, which one do you want to take?
Either one is good.
Either one is fine with me too. You first.
We'll decide it
Okay,
afterwards.
sounds good. They'll just be here blessing the dais.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very,
Nice
very
to meet you.
much. We tried to get you last month, but I guess you were closed
Oh,
on
there was a
vacation or
little-
something.
Yeah,
a
but we're
little
glad we're here
miscommunication.
now.
Thank you very
Thank
much for
you.
coming.
Thank you for keeping your business in Chino, too.
Yes. Oh, gotta get the flowers. Here, come around near the flowers too. Yeah. God, those are gorgeous. Oh my gosh. Wow. Those are beautiful. I think we should honor them every month. The June Business of the Month recipients is graphic details, but they were unable to join us this evening, so they'll be recognized at a future meeting. Okay, next we have the Mayor's Home Beautification Award for June. I'd like to call up Rebecca Garcia of 12568 Russell Avenue. Rebecca? We have a certificate for you that says thank you for the continued improvement and maintenance of your home, resulting in a substantial contribution to the overall appearance of the community. So we have that for you. We have a picture of your beautiful home. We have a pen and pencil set. We have a lapel pin. I know, a lot of stuff. And then, of course, we have the coveted yard sign. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you very much. I feel honored. Thank you.
Now, who does the upkeep on your home?
I have gardeners, but I spend a lot of time out there. I just love to be out there.
Well,
So
thank you
we-
very much.
I give them the credit and myself.
Okay. Well, thank
But
you very
thank
much.
you.
You're
Thank you very
welcome.
much.
Can you get all that? Okay. Okay. We have one more presentation, but I'm gonna go back up at the dais for that. The next presentation is going to be by Chino Valley Fire. I'd like to call up EMS nurse educator Leslie Farnham for a PowerPoint presentation. Or Farnham, rather. Hi, Leslie.
Enlighten everybody on a program that's been going on for about 18 months now. It's called Right Care, Right Time. And the goal of this program is to take people that are calling 911 that don't necessarily need an ambulance transport to an emergency room and be able to get them to the right location the first time and get them the proper help that they need. So I have a little very short video to kind of give an overall about the program, and then I'll explain a little bit more after that. If you could start the video, please.
Emergency vehicles or helicopters are seen responding to emergency incidents. EMS is much more than a ride to the hospital. It is a system of coordinated response and emergency medical care involving multiple agencies. San Bernardino County's EMS system includes 26 exclusive operating areas over a vast region of more than 20,000 square miles. To enhance service delivery and create a more efficient system, the County of San Bernardino is prioritizing the implementation of new innovations in pre-hospital care. One example is an Emergency Communication Nurse System, or ECNS, that is designed to triage incoming 911 calls to determine the appropriate level of care or response required. The full implementation of this system will ensure that county residents get to the right care at the right time in the right place and free up ambulance transport and fire personnel to respond to people with critical needs. An ambulance patient offload delay occurs when patients can't be transferred timely from ambulance paramedics to emergency room staff. At hospitals across San Bernardino County, this has become a problem because of population growth, a relative shortage of physicians in the area, and the difficulties in increasing hospital capacity. It has also become a problem because of people's reflex reaction to call 911 for any medical issue, including non-emergencies. Not every 911 call needs a lights and siren response. Fortunately, an ECNS will help to make that distinction before paramedics are deployed. The ECNS nurse triage system includes trained registered nurses located in the 911 dispatch center to help guide callers to the appropriate resource. When a call comes in, the 911 dispatch operator asks a few preliminary questions. Based on the responses, the dispatcher either sends help immediately or refers the caller to an ECNS nurse. The nurse then asks more targeted questions while remaining able to choose to send an emergency response. During a normal flu season, the healthcare delivery system nearly fills to capacity. This year, the addition of COVID-19 creates the potential for a twindemic that could completely overwhelm the state and national healthcare delivery systems. In these unprecedented times, the need for an emergency communication nurse system has never been more immediate.
So as the video was explaining, we have a hospital ED overcrowding issue that we've been experiencing for several years. It's been getting worse and worse and worse. So this program was something that the county has been looking at for several years, and then when COVID struck, the need to implement the program became, it needed to be implemented on a much quicker path than we were planning originally. So how the program works is the patient will call 911. When the patient calls 911, after the call goes to the primary PSAP, it goes to a secondary PSAP, which is our dispatch center. Once the caller answers questions, and the call will get triaged down to a very low level. So this program is for those low-level calls that the caller calls in, and I'll use the classic example of a stubbed toe, is not typically something that needs to go to the emergency room via an ambulance. And so that call will get routed to an ECNS nurse. So the nurse is sitting right in the dispatch center, right alongside the dispatchers. When the nurse takes that call, they go through, so the call slows down. Once the call gets sent to the nurse, it's actually removed from the 911 system, and the nurse takes over a very detailed assessment. Sometimes that assessment may take up to 15 minutes because it's very detailed. If at any time during that assessment, the nurse decides that the caller actually does need an ambulance or that there is an emergency pending, then an ambulance is dispatched immediately. If the nurse continues on her assessment, his or her assessment, they will go down several routes. And so those places that we can refer patients to are places like urgent care. We can get them to a telehealth visit, which they enjoy because we can do that right then and there, get them connected to telehealth. They may need referral to a pharmacy. They may need behavioral health care. And so the nurse can actually get that patient to that care directly instead of having to have the patient go to the emergency room, sit in the emergency room for up to 12 to 14 hours sometimes without getting that care, without the care being delayed. So just some quick stats. Like I said, the program's been going on for about 18 months now. We started in the height of COVID. And so initially our calls were very, COVID-related type of calls, but we have calls, stretching the gamut, abdominal pain calls, people just feeling unwell for a couple of days. And we have many people that call 911 because they simply don't know what else to do, and maybe they don't have transportation. So some of our initial stats, so this is only 6 months worth of data from May to October of 2021. And during that time, the total 911 calls was almost 70,000. The ECNS eligible calls out of that, meaning those calls that were triaged down to a low enough level, were just about 8,000. And so that ended up being about 12% of the calls that come in that reach a determinant code. The calls that were processed were about 1,900, and it was about 25% of the calls that we processed, we were actually able to get those patients to a different location other than an emergency room. Some of them do end up having to go to the emergency room, but they don't need an ambulance to get there. And so in that case, we'll find them another transportation route to the emergency room if necessary. One thing to point out is that our program is only operating right now at about 40% capacity, mostly because of staffing. It started out as a pilot program, and so we're only functioning about 40% capacity. So we're really trying to get out to the communities, educate everyone on the program, what it's about, so that they're not alarmed when they call 911 and they are transferred to a nurse. It really is a very good concierge type service. Some people call 911 and their initial reaction is like, well, I want an ambulance, I called 911. But once they talk to the nurse and realize they don't need an ambulance and maybe we can take care of their need through a telemedicine visit, they're very happy about that. So some other things to point out, we are able to, because the call is removed from the 911 system, we're able to collect their insurance information, which allows us to get them to the location that will take their insurance. If the patient does not have insurance, then we get them to the county resource that can help them out. And probably most excitingly, we have had our patient satisfaction surveys, which say that 4.7 out of every 5 patients actually end up really liking the procedure once they understand it. We have people now calling into 911 saying, hey, last time I called, I got sent to the nurse. Can you just send me over to the nurse again? So there's some possibilities for expansion of the program so that people can call directly into the center without having to call 911 first, but we're taking baby steps. So I would love to entertain any questions that any of you may have on the program.
Any questions about the program or other comments? Well, thank you very much for coming this evening. I think this is going to help the public by maybe a better understanding in what happens to calls now.
Yeah, thank you for having us. And there is a lot of information that will be coming out through the cities on the program. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, Interim City Manager Arroyo, do we have any agenda modifications or changes?
My microphone's not working, no changes.
Okay. Within our packet this evening is citywide legislative policy, which tracks legislation, and I would appreciate it if you'd read the attached report. It has some very interesting information. Under public announcements, this is the time and the place for me to announce any public upcoming events and past occurrences of community-wide interest and concerns. I don't know what that weird noise is. It's a dog. Oh, it's a dog. Jiminy Christmas. Well, it sounds strange. As we head into summer, I'm excited to announce that Chino's Summer Nights is back. Starting on June 17th and ending on July 29th, every Friday night at 6:30 p.m., please make sure you come on out for food, retail booths, and of course, a family-friendly movie. With the exception for, can somebody ask the puppy to hush? With the exception for July 1st, since that's when we will have our fireworks spectacular carnival, of course. This year, we will be showing on June 17th in Canto, on June 24th, Sing 2. On July 1st, there will be no event. However, the fireworks spectacular carnival will be held from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. at Ayala Park. On July 8th, we have Ghostbusters Afterlife. July 15th, Cars 3. July 22nd, Clifford the Big Red Dog. July 29th, Jungle Cruise. So I'm sure you're all excited to come out and watch the movies. Please make sure you bring a lawn chair or a blanket so you can enjoy the movie right here at the City Hall lawn located at 13220 Central Avenue. For all questions, please call 909-334-3258. Additionally, beginning on June 23rd and ending August 5th, the Kiwanis Club of Chino, sponsored by the City of Chino, will hold its annual summer concerts on the lawn from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. every Thursday night. All events will be held right here at the City Hall lawn, apart from August 5th concert, which will be held at Founders Park, located at 8151 West Preserve Loop. This year, our lineup includes, on June 23rd, Turn the Page, which is a Bob Seger tribute. June 30th is Earth to Mars, Bruno Mars tribute. July 7th, Soto, which is an R&B and Latin group. July 14th, Ladies of the 80s, which is an 80s music and go-go's tribute. July 21st, Fortunate Son, which is Creedence Clearwater Revival tribute. July 28th, Bonfire, which is an AC/DC tribute. And on August 5th, the Founders Park will be Jumping Jack Flash, which is a Rolling Stones tribute. Food vendors will be available, and please make sure to bring a blanket or a lawn chair. For any additional questions, please call 909-334-3256. Lastly, please make sure to come on out for our All-American Bingo and Barbecue at the Chino Senior Center, located at 13170 Central Avenue, from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Friday, June 10th. The doors will open to all participants at 1:15 p.m., with tickets costing $25 if purchased at the door. However, please note there is a $5 discount for all advanced ticket purchases. For more information, please call the Senior Center at 909-334-3271. Next, this is the time and the place for the general public to address the council on items that do not appear elsewhere on the agenda. Our first written request.
Actually, Mayor?
Yes,
I'm sorry,
sir.
could I interrupt? The report out of the special meeting closed session, I know it's not on the regular agenda, but because the meeting just started, if I could just make that report real quick before public comments? Of the
Yeah,
special
you're right.
meeting
It
closed
was
session.
omitted. Yes, go ahead, Fred.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, and those in attendance. The City Council held a special meeting before the current regular meeting and held a discussion as to two closed session item categories. The first category is conference with legal counsel, existing litigation. The City Council discussed the case of City of Chino versus Jianun Wang. City Council received an update from attorney Matt Silver, provided direction, no further reportable action. As to the second category, conference with legal counsel, two items of anticipated litigation under the heading initiation of litigation. On the first item, the City Council received an update, no further reportable action was taken. As to the second case, with Council Member Flores abstaining, leaving the closed session room and not participating, the City Council held a discussion as to that, anticipate initiation of litigation, potential action, provided direction, no further reportable action was taken. The council did adjourn its special meeting earlier this morning of the closed session item related to the public employment position, the title of city manager, and will reconvene after closed session. So it would be appropriate to withhold that report until after the council has completed its re-adjourned public hearing.
Okay, thank you very much. First written request to speak is actually from Pastor Michael Tafoya from the Living Word Assembly. I'd like to encourage all of you to stand and join us in invocation if you choose.
Amen. Let's pray. Father, I just want to thank you, Lord, for the mayor, for the city council, and for the great leaders of this community. Father, I pray for a special provision of grace, that it be your wisdom, your knowledge, your understanding that they operate in. And Father, that they continue to work in a spirit of unity. And Father, as they've always done in a great way, have them continue to work in a great way with their constituents in their individual communities. And Father, I lift up the first responders, police department, and the fire department. And I just pray, Father, that you keep them safe, that you give your angels charge over them, that you encamp your angels about them, and that you build a hedge of protection around them. And Father, I'm grateful for a city that acknowledges who you are. It's in Jesus Christ's name that I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, we have a request to speak from, looks like Tony Favmore? Oh, come on up, Tony. And it is a project at Central and Schaefer.
Good evening, everyone. I'll just hold this mic because I'm a little bit too tall to be dealing with this. But I appreciate the invitation from Councilman Flores. Myself, my wife, who's in attendance, we actually live in Chino. We own the whole city of Pomona for FedEx Ground, so we're business owners over there, but we reside here in the preserves. A little bit about myself. I played professional basketball for about 17 years between the NBA and Europe. I'm pretty sure you can't guess because of my height, but I really did play. And I had an idea that became a reality of having a project. After meeting with Kavita and Councilman Flores and my partner Hans, we wanted to put a community center on the corner of Central and Schaefer. My parents own 4 drug recovery homes. They've been doing it for about 35 years. They're in Alabama. My son suffers from mental health, so one thing that we always wanted to do was to create an opportunity. And our youngest child is 8 years old, and me playing and missing different births and things like that, being able to create opportunities for the city. So we had situations like on a Friday night when you have busy schedules of parents working and people doing, where are they going to take their kids? So having a situation of a community center, being able to have date night where we come in and having athletes like myself and people that these kids and these people see on TV that they just never have a chance to touch. And so it's not like we live in Los Angeles and come to Chino. We reside here. For the last 16 months, we've seen a lot, go in and out, and we're excited about having this opportunity to be able to have, law enforcement, business people, attorneys, that if a child wants to become an attorney, why can't that attorney come in and teach these children of how to pay it forward? So we wanted to fund our own project, but we had this little obstacle of this thing called a tree that was on the property that we felt that if we could assist in whether we move the tree or participate in that we, I've done my research, and being here, I haven't seen a community center that has this kind of, offerings, and we've been approved by the NBA to bring a junior NBA program here to the city of Chino, if that's what we wanted to do, to create, the teachings of not only just basketball. My wife competes in fitness, and she got involved in fitness when our youngest son was born. She decided to take it to another level and become a professional. So when we moved out here, we were looking to see why can't we be on the forefront of something a lot different to do that. And, I can say myself, of being at the age of 52, I've never taken a drink, I've never smoked anything, but one thing growing up in the inner city of Los Angeles, I've never had the opportunity to be around, athletes to teach. Like if I want to learn to make hamburgers, I'm not going to go to Walmart, I'm going to go to In-N-Out. And I feel if we can teach them, just responsibilities of being a better citizen, being a better basketball player, being, able to teach them. This is why we wanted to put the community center in and create opportunities and create more jobs. Because when we came in from Las Vegas 2 years ago and bought our business, we have 6 drivers that have never, ever been in a FedEx truck. And we're kind of on the forefront of giving them opportunity, from security guards to people who just want an opportunity. So when Councilman Flores invited me and my wife and Hans out here, we just felt having a community center, being involved in living here in Chino, we're not creating a dream, we wanted to create an opportunity. So that's why we came before you to at least consider that, to have it at that location.
Well, I'll tell you, it sounds like an exciting proposition. Our expert, of course, when it comes to building and codes would be Nick Ligori. I think you would be the appropriate person to meet with him. So I'd ask that you get with Nick and find out about the tree.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for coming.
My microphone's not working, I'm sorry. The tree is actually a planning commission level issue, so I've been in contact with Nick, so it'll get to the planning commission at some point.
Yeah, okay. Nick, will you get his information, work with him? Thank you very much for coming this evening. Now, that's the only written request that I have to speak on any item that is not on the agenda. Okay, non-agenda?
Yeah, it was for public comment.
Okay, come on now.
Unfortunately, the mic is going to be the okay level for me.
You don't have to lung down.
Exactly.
Good evening. I am Tyson Chave. I am a Senior Vice President for Prologis. I work specifically in the Inland Empire market. And we appreciate the opportunity to come tonight to talk. Wanted to actually talk about a request we have on behalf of two small businesses that are trying to become customers and operate at our two-building industrial project that is located at the southwest corner of Eucalyptus Avenue and Yorba Avenue. These two buildings are about 210,000 square feet. We started construction of those two facilities in July of 2021, and we are pleased to announce that we're basically done with the building shell, the adjacent street improvements, and the interior TIs that are all now substantially complete. There does remain some off-site work at Ramona Avenue and Chino Hills Parkway. This is an intersection that's off-site. It's probably about 1.5 miles from the subject property. But it was a condition of approval of our original EIR to do some subsequent improvement work at that intersection. Prologis intends to provide these traffic improvement work once we get approval from Caltrans, which is a remaining holdout of the approvals necessary to start the work. There's actually a tri-jurisdictional approval, so it required City of Chino, City of Chino Hills, and Caltrans approval. We've secured both Chino and Chino Hills, but we're just trying to get Caltrans approval, which we feel is fairly imminent, ideally potentially at the end of the month. Once we get this approval, will allow us to secure issuance of a permit necessary to commence the work. And in communicating with city staff about the delays in the approval of the permit and therefore the delay in the work, we were planning on operating the buildings for these two small businesses under a TCO. Prologis has already executed a bond in the amount of approximately $200,000 to ensure completion of this work. That will take about 2 to 3 months once we secure the Caltrans approval and have a permit in hand. So the work is not that significant once we get approval. At the City Council meeting on April 19th, an amendment to the subdivision improvement agreement was presented to the City Council on the consent agenda, and it was to approve a small clerical error in the name of the applicant. After being pulled from the consent calendar, there was a discussion amongst City Council about the intersection and the challenges at the intersection, and staff was instructed to not provide occupancy of the buildings prior to completion of that intersection work. Unfortunately, Prologis did not have a representative at the meeting due to it being on the consent agenda and our conversations with staff that it was, felt like a fairly benign issue. Therefore, because we weren't here, we did kind of miss out on the ability to talk about the impacts to our two customers on not being able to operate. But I want to acknowledge that this was our fault entirely for not being here when the matter was heard. Our concern is for our two customers, Sunset Pacific Transportation and Cayo, who both have representatives here in the audience. These customers are both eager to begin operations under a TCO, but are simply being impacted by the delay in Caltrans approval of the permit.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. What is a TCO?
A temporary certificate of occupancy.
Okay.
So you would have typically a temporary phase and it would submit to a final.
Okay.
So a temporary would be something still needs to happen, and in this case, it's that off-site intersection work. This delay in Caltrans review and approval is now impacting the two small businesses, which we would love to work through and come up with a solution. So Prologis 100% agrees that the work needs to occur and frankly will occur, and is going to be an offset of the impacts of our project are causing, and also help just serve the surrounding areas and improve the traffic movement at that intersection. We are 100% committed to staying involved as well to see the work through to completion. We believe the impacts to the intersection can be mitigated in the short term in working with our customers and city staff to allow them to begin to operate. The project will be Cayo's first home on the West Coast, so they're excited to be expanding into Chino. And the reason they selected Chino was frankly due to the talented labor force, the central location, and the business-friendly municipality. During their first few months of operation, they will have very limited truck traffic. They want to hire employees, train them on how to operate. Right now they're completely new to the area, and so there's a pretty significant ramp up where their activity will be very low. Sunset Pacific actually has 90 employees, and so a little bit more active company. They've been proud to call Chino home for over 22 years. So they currently operate in a facility just a few blocks north of the building they're growing to, and are excited to kind of grow and expand within the city. Sunset's current truck traffic utilizes the Edison Avenue interchange, and we've been talking with Dennis in the traffic department, who has reviewed and approved a temporary traffic route plan that would avoid the interchange until all of the work is completed, thereby not adding any additional impacts to that intersection. Allowing for this temporary occupancy with the appropriate mitigations will allow Cayo's business to transition smoothly into the city of Chino, and will allow Sunset Pacific to continue to grow and expand within the city as well. As I mentioned, we have representatives. They can answer any questions if you had them for them. And then I want to talk a little bit about Prologis. We own about 8 buildings in Chino, totaling about 750,000 square feet. And we're a long-term owner with a very large presence in the Inland Empire. And we believe truly in long-term partnerships with the cities. We're not going anywhere. We're going to stand behind our statement of doing the work. And so collectively, Prologis, Cayo, and Sunset are here tonight to request that the City Council allow city staff, we've been working with Mike, Dennis, as I mentioned, and work with us to adopt appropriate conditions to a temporary certificate of occupancy that will allow Cayo and Sunset Pacific to begin operations while fully mitigating the impacts to the intersection in question. So I'm available for any other questions as well.
Well, I missed that meeting for physical reasons. I had a hip replacement the next week, so I was not in condition to come. My current council members were present during that meeting, so I would like to hear from them first. Okay. Then I'll make my comments.
And I would just say, Council, since this is not on the agenda, we really can't have a long dialogue on this.
No, but we can make comments.
You can respond briefly.
Yes, okay. Any council member comments?
I'll speak first, Mayor.
Okay, Karen?
Good evening, sir. I'm familiar with the meeting that you're speaking of, and I apologize that it was conveyed to you that it wasn't a good idea to be at the meeting. It's always a good idea to be when you have any item on the agenda to come. So, but
It's on us.
That being said, here's the issue that we hear from a lot of our residents. Is one of the things that probably not just us here on the West End, but logistics and trucking is really impacting a lot of cities in the Inland Empire. And one of the conditions for your company to be up and operational was this issue with the Tri-City approval. So while I respect the challenges that are there with Caltrans, we deal with Caltrans all over the city on both. They border both our east and west boundaries. Yeah. While I'm sympathetic to it, I'm also sympathetic to the request of my residents and my constituency to properly improve roads. And unfortunately, for me, a few times already in my short tenure on the city council, I've only been here for a year and a half. My experience has been as soon as we give up that occupancy permit, there seems to be less of a priority to continue with those improvements in the most efficient and timely manner. That is my experience, but I will say this. I am certainly willing to sit down with you and our staff at a later time, discuss it, but that is my position on it tonight. But I remain open-minded, to different suggestions, but that was my position on the night of the meeting. So those are my comments tonight. Yes, sir.
I'm president and CEO.
Okay, excuse me, sir. It's inappropriate. I will call on you when the council's finished. Okay, thank you.
I just had a comment.
Sure.
He's one of the customers, sorry.
Other council comments?
I have some questions.
Yes.
TCO as permanent occupancy is held up because of the construction of the intersection?
So I think based on Councilwoman Comstock's comments, I think staff was directed to limit the TCO to only provide for kind of fixturization. So basically no operations at the facility. So they could bring in some office furniture, but they couldn't operate or begin to kind of, operate within the facility.
Well, we did allow you to bring in all the equipment needed to operate, but just not operate yet.
Correct.
And you have already put up the money to do the intersection,
Yes.
and you have a temporary route figured out with our traffic people and approved?
Yeah.
How about, I would like to suggest that we give you, like, when you get we give you operation, and then when you get approval of your traffic corner there that you have to
Yes.
improve, that within 30 days you have to start,
We would have no problem
or
committing to that.
15 days, or
Yeah.
some kind of a
And we think the work is only probably 2 to 3 months in duration, so we have no problem standing behind a quick start once we secure the permit. We have the funds to do it, and we intend to do it, and we will do it.
Okay, well, I'll propose that to the,
Well, we can't take any action this evening. We can refer it back to staff or what, but we can't physically take action this evening. Mark, do you have comments?
Yeah, I mean, the only comment I have is, so that intersection, currently as it stands, the building that is closest to the intersection of Ramona and Chino Hills Parkway, they currently, on numerous occasions, I drive by it, and they have trucks that are stacked up onto the street. So
At what
there's
facility?
trucks that are stacked up on the street, and then there's some that are in their driveway, and they're being checked in, I guess, through their guard shack, and then they're sent around. So I think having that already as an issue there on that corner, and issuing a temporary permit, I think will only cause more problems there at that intersection. And I think that's why they were asked for you to make 2 left turn lanes there, because we already have some issues there, and this would mitigate it. We all know, I mean, truckers are truckers. You know, they're, especially that they get paid by as long as they're moving. We can say that we'll have a route that they will just take Edison, but the reality is if Chino Hills Parkway is easier to get to the 71 freeway, they may go in that direction. And then that's when we run into problems with the residents that say, hey, you know, all these trucks are stacked up, or these trucks are impacting this road, and these people were, and then the other problem becomes, what if Caltrans doesn't approve your plans? And then we're several months out, and then we're operating for how long? And then how long's in, you know, a couple of months from that point, once we accept the plans, or they're accepted, it's gonna be a couple of months before it's actually designed and built. So
The
I
design
think-
is complete, and so once the permit's issued, the work can commence, you know, as soon as you can mobilize.
Right. But if for some reason Caltrans doesn't approve your plans and says you need to change them, then they would have to be redone again, and because we know that Caltrans sometimes isn't the easiest people to work with.
Yeah.
So that's my only hesitation, is if you already had your plans already approved by Caltrans, and then I think that we would look at that a little different, but since we haven't had that done yet.
2/3 of the way there.
Yeah, since it's not there yet, that makes it difficult, because I'll tell you, we suffer from this down there on the preserve on Kimball Avenue. We were asked, you know, give them their power so that they can start moving in their business, and we promise we will we'll make this road functional by a certain time, and here we are past that time limit, and they're still not functional. But they're still moving forward with their buildings, but our residents are the ones that are suffering, because it's, instead of a 2-lane road, it's only a 1-lane road. So that's where we're a little hesitant about that. And not necessarily do I want to hold you as responsible for what other developers have done, but it's things that have bitten us before in the past, and that makes us a little weary about.
No, I completely understand. I do think that in talking with our customer, Sunset, who will have, you know, the majority of the truck traffic in this kind of interim time, I think they could address their ability to have their trucking fleet. Again, they've been in the city for 22 years. I think all of their drivers are used to that, you know, using the other interchange on-off ramp. So for them, it would be, you know, a lot of muscle memory where they're used to going a different route. So I think that they could speak to the ability to kind of make sure that the truck driver doesn't go where he or she shouldn't. And then in Cayo's case, I think they're anticipating, you know, really a pretty slow ramp up while they train, you know, hire and kind of staff and, you know, bring additional jobs to the city. So again, I've been doing this for 25 years. I'm not trying to take lightly that other developers have had situations. I think we pride ourselves on doing the right thing. And again, these kind of long-term partnerships with the city. We intend to own this building for, 30, 50 years and be a good, partner with the city. So I certainly appreciate the sensitivity, and I can say that I think we're kind of a different operator, and I do hear the point about Caltrans. I mean, it's a pretty large jurisdiction, group, governmental agency. So, it's a fact that it is. I do think with it being 2/3 approved and it being a pretty straightforward, it's really kind of striping and some different lane orientation. It's not very dramatic. It doesn't feel to be super contentious that they would deny it, reject it, ask for it to be redesigned. But again, I appreciate your comments.
Chris, do you have any comments?
No comments, Mayor.
Well, certainly we've always tried to be very business friendly, and I'm hearing your plea and imagining that this is a hardship on your two customers. I think for me, you've bonded the amount of money, you've got the paperwork in, you've done the good faith, you have an existing customer that knows our requirements when it comes to traffic. And after 22 years, I would imagine they would respect restrictions. The new company, as you said, it's going to take them time to hire and ramp up. Would it be permissible to ask them to meet with our staff once again to see if there is a way that the temporary traffic could be enforced and then this brought back possibly to council? I just think holding up two customers who are ready and willing to get to work and hire people. I mean, we need to be business friendly as well as very sensitive to our residents. If they're cooperating with the temporary traffic control that Dennis has determined, I honestly can't see holding them up. If you didn't have the bonding money, if you didn't have the permit in, if you hadn't moved forward with everything and it was just empty air promises, then I would say absolutely no.
Yeah.
Sir, you wanted to speak? You need to come up and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, good evening. I'm Joshua Craig. I'm President and CEO of Sunset Pacific Transportation. And we've actually been in the city at our current location for 22 years, but we've been in the city for actually 32 years. We've grown from one truck to now we have hundreds of trucks. And we're currently on Norton and Edison Avenue. So the majority of our truck traffic comes that way. We do over-the-road operations, which means all 48 states. So most of our trucks, if not all of them, are going to be coming from the eastern direction. So it wouldn't behoove them to go all the way to the 71, all the way to Chino Parkway and to the Yorba facility. They're going to be routed, even if they went on Google Maps, they're going to be routed on Eucalyptus to Yorba. So they would have no reason to go through that intersection because we're not running an operation where they would be going to San Diego or other locations, purely, mostly across the country. And we have, great management team who sits back there, who can definitely coach and talk to our drivers about, basically our truck routes that we want them to use. And the facility that we're moving into is 2.5 times larger than our current facility, so we plan to hire many new employees. We have another customer by the name of ViewSonic who's desperate for a storage space, and they're ready to fill a third of the warehouse just with storage, which means that customer, a Chino customer, will be taken care of for their storage needs, but also a third of our warehouse isn't going to be utilized for trucking. It's just going to be for storage. So I plead that we were originally supposed to move into this building March 1st. We have grown tremendously over the last 10 years. We've outgrown our facility. We have freight outside. Our customers, if they knew we had freight outside, would not be happy. We need a larger facility to house that freight. And we can, if we move, we can grow and hire more employees. And we've always been a great partner with the city of Chino. The police department's always been great for us, so.
Well, with your cooperation, I would encourage our staff to meet with the applicant again, and I trust our traffic gentleman, Dennis, knows what he's doing when it comes to our truck routes and stuff. I would trust that you respect our desires and our concerns, because we do have residents that are very upset about
Yeah,
trucking.
and Prologis has actually also told us that they would help us out in putting up signage that, in addition to our coaching and directing our drivers to use the routes that we want them to take, which would be the similar routes that we already take. Actually, by moving into this facility, we're actually going to take a little bit of the traffic burden off of Chino, because currently where we're at on Edison and Norton, a lot of those trucks come down Edison and create, the truck traffic as Edison. Now that we're moving, more to the east on Yorba, they'll actually be funneled down Yorba and not going over towards the, the Spectrum is called? Over to that area as much. So it actually might even be less of a burden to residents, because there'll be less trucks over there by Target and Walmart, and more trucks, funneling down Yorba to the new facility. I'm sorry, your question was,
No, I've made my comments.
Yeah.
But I thank you very much.
I was going to mention, Prologis has mentioned about putting up signage and some other things to help. If there is I think someone mentioned a random driver, and you're right, drivers are independent people. That they were going to put some signage and some other things in place to direct the drivers. For example, when they leave our facility, Prologis is going to pay for signage that tells the drivers which way to go when they leave the facility to go back to the 60 freeway.
Well, we know that there's a desperate need right now in the economy for people to have jobs. Businesses need to grow. The costs have impacted businesses as well as individuals and families. So I think it's imperative that we help the economy keep going.
Yeah, but I appreciate the city of Chino. I mean, just allowing us to speak and take up all this time just shows how great a department the city is, so.
Sure, Sharon.
Yeah, sir, before you leave the dais, I don't want it to be interpreted that we're not happy for your business to be here.
Oh, I know.
We are. We want you here. We need you here. We recognize the logistical industry has changed, particularly in the last couple of years. But our residents also want our improvements.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's the constant give and take. And if you're interested, because I only live like a half a mile up the street from where your operation is right now, I can show you a video of your trucks along both sides of that street where they're not supposed to be parked.
Right.
And just really violating a lot of rules already.
So you can see
I know,
how
I
we've
know
outgrown.
part of that is you need your space, but we as residents in the community, and it's not just because of the route your truck is going to be coming, your new operation will probably displace some of our traffic flow naturally into that new intersection. So it's just to help our residents continue to move through the city efficiently.
And
So-
Councilwoman, you're 100% correct. I live in Chino Hills, and I often go through that intersection to go to work, but also to go to Home Depot and Lowe's. And that intersection is already a problem without the trucks.
Yes.
Just with civilian traffic, the cars are already backing up into the lanes of traffic. So I as a resident of this area, I totally understand the need. So it actually gives me more sense of urgency or zealousness to make sure our trucks don't go there, because I already know firsthand that intersection is already a problem.
Yeah, just
As a
to
resident.
reiterate my sentiment, my biggest concern in this is the unknown factor in Caltrans. And while I respect that you say it's 2/3 through, 2/3 to Caltrans, if you're not getting in front of them with some urgency or meeting with them, it could be a long time out for them still.
Actually, Paula just has a expert person that has, you probably can say better.
Good. I hope that
has like an inside way. With
So
it.
so we've
people always like hearing that there's an inside way to get their permits issued more quickly, sir.
I don't know about inside way, but we're definitely focused on staying in front of Caltrans. I actually feel confident that we're fairly close to getting their approval. Doesn't feel like something that's a long way off based on kind of where we're at in the process and how long they've had the drawings. So I think we're encouraged and hope to be under construction shortly. So.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and this is a building, and again, as a resident of Chino Hills, but I've lived in this area for 25 years, so I totally understand my wife always complains about that intersection, for example. But we were supposed to move March 1st, and this is a building that's 100% complete, done. I mean, the construction people already left, and it's right now just sitting empty.
Yeah.
And if we don't get the temporary certificate of occupancy, it's going to sit empty for another 3 or 4 months. It's such a waste that it's costing us. I calculated how much we're losing in potential warehouse storage, potential revenue. We've already installed network cabling. We've already installed cubicles, and then our warehouse efficiency. You mentioned about the trucks on the street. Where I calculated we're losing $213,000 a month in either cost or potential profit, not just revenue. And so as a small business, that's a little bit of a hardship for us. And then Prologis is losing, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in potential lease from us. So, and then I don't even know the cost for this gentleman from Kai.
Again, I think we can come to a win-win situation.
For sure.
Where we could possibly get you into the building and you could make sure your trucks are cooperating with a temporary route.
Appreciate that.
We
And
also,
not just temporary, even after the intersection is complete, we still don't want our trucks going through that intersection. We have a huge liability insurance. Our liability insurance is actually millions of dollars per year. If we have an accident, our rates go, up quite a bit. So it just behooves us to not even have our trucks go to the intersection, even after everything's done and complete and everything else, because we want to reduce the, chances of having an accident or what have you. And, a dangerous intersection would only be for us even after the building's complete and the TCO or the temporary certificate of occupancy is over and it's permanent. We would still want our trucks to take the routes that we already suggested, just out of safety reasons for us.
I think we've gone over our 5 minutes, too.
So,
well, I
yeah, would
appreciate you
recommend
being
that
here.
we
Yeah, just
wrap this up.
get with our staff and let's see what we can work out, and then maybe the item can come back to us if necessary.
Yeah, we very appreciate all of your support and certainly listening to us. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming this evening. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the council on any item that is not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to the consent calendar. I do have a request to pull items 8 and 9 for separate action. Do any council members or anyone else in the audience, would you like to have any other items pulled for discussion? Okay, seeing none, that I would ask for a motion and a second for the balance of the consent calendar. It's a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, second from Councilman Comstock. Please vote. Balance of the consent calendar passes 5-0. Items 8 and 9 were requested to be pulled by Tyson, is it Shave? Oh, that was you? Oh, so we don't need those pulled after all. Sorry about that.
They filled out the form, because that's our
Oh,
landscape
okay.
lighting district.
All right, never
that's just
mind.
public
Okay, so we need,
So it's not on the.
it's
agenda.
okay. Sorry about that. Then I do need a motion and a second for items 8 and 9. Motion from Councilman Flores, second by Councilperson Comstock, and 8 and 9 pass unanimously. That was kind of strange. Next, under public hearings, item number 15, Community Development Block Grant, Cdbg 2022-23 one-year action plan. This item is to conduct a public hearing to receive testimony and approve the 22-23 one-year action plan for the Community Development Block Grant, or Cdbg program. I'd like to declare the public hearing open. Ask for the staff report from Tracy Smith, our Senior Management Analyst. Tracy.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Staff presents the 22-23 one-year CDBG action plan, which identifies the recommended usage of HUD funds in the amount of $591,996. Exhibit 1 displays the funding recommendations broken down by funding categories. This year, there were 6 public service applicants. Each project was recommended for funding based on prioritization by the Community Service Commission CDBG Subcommittee. The funding recommendations include Human Services Family Counseling, 28108, Family Services Association Senior Meals Program, $15,000, House of Ruth Services for Battered Women, $15,000, Inland Valley Hope Partners Food and Shelter, $10,000, Public Works Graffiti Abatement, $10,691, and Chino Neighborhood House Food Assistance Program for $10,000. Exhibit 1 also includes capital improvement project funding in the amount of $463,115, which includes $384,798 of new funding and $78,317 of unexpended prior year funds, as well as carryover funds for ongoing capital improvement projects. This public hearing fulfills HUD's citizen participation requirements. There were no comments during the 30-day public review period. Staff recommends that council conduct this public hearing, receive any comments, and approve the 22-23 action plan, which will be submitted to HUD upon adoption. Thank you. That concludes my report. If there would be any questions.
Thank you very much. Do any council members have questions of Tracy? Okay, seeing none. Are there any members of the public that would like to address the council on this item? Seeing none, then we will close the public hearing, and I would call for a motion and a second. Motion from Councilman Flores, second by Councilperson Comstock, and the item passes unanimously. Next, under new business, item number 16, agreement with Exxon Enterprises. Approve an agreement with Exxon Enterprises Incorporated for the purchase of an on-officer video recording devices, tasers, and management software for the Chino Police Department. Staff report this evening will be provided by our Captain Kevin Menson.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. This evening, I am presenting an agreement with Exxon Enterprise for $1,324,517.70. That is amortized over 5 years. This comes out to $264,903.55 per year. This agreement consists of the purchase of 130 new Exxon body-worn cameras with a new auto-tagging feature, 139 Taser 7 devices, and unlimited storage through Exxon's Evidence.com. The body-worn cameras come with an upgraded camera with higher resolution, longer battery life, ability to live stream, and some other advanced features. The auto-tagging feature is something new. It automatically tags videos, which will save time for officers in the field. The new Taser 7s will replace our X26P tasers that are almost a decade old. The Taser 7 has a two-shot dart deployment capacity and more effective than the older tasers. They also come with an unlimited supply of cartridges. The unlimited storage in the Evidence.com also includes the Exxon Citizen platform, which allows the public to submit photographic and video evidence directly to the police department. The Chino Police Department first entered into a contract with Exxon in 2001 when we began deploying one of their first generation taser devices. The tasers have proven to be a very effective de-escalation tool. In 2014, we implemented our body-worn camera program, and we're one of the first law enforcement agencies to begin wearing the cameras. The cameras have provided greater transparency and accountability to serve to service we provide to our community. We've been very pleased with the performance of what Exxon Enterprise is able to provide. This agreement is contingent on the city's budget being approved at the council meeting on June 21st and allocating $264,903.55 per year for 5 years. That concludes my staff report, and be willing to answer any questions if you have some.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Any council comments or questions? Chris?
The only question I have is, once these cameras are replaced, what happens to the old cameras?
So the old cameras are returned back to Exxon, and it's part of the agreement, the contract. As far as we return those back, we have no need for them, and because they really don't work anymore for our use.
Any other comments or questions? Walt?
I have one, Kevin. Is 130 enough for your department?
It is for the tasers. That supplies. Currently, we have as a new officer, as we hire a new officer, part of that comes with a taser device. So this supplies all of our officers, which we're currently at 119 officers. It supplies everybody with their own taser devices. We also supply our SWAT team with another taser, so they keep that one with their gear, and then allows us, I believe, 6 or 7 spare tasers.
Okay, good, thank you.
Okay, no more questions or comments. Congratulations on a good report.
Thank you.
And I would encourage a motion and a second for item number 16. Motion from Councilperson Comstock, second from Councilperson Flores. Item passes unanimously. Item number 17, amendment to the Comprehensive Speed Zone Resolution. This is to adopt resolution number 2022-30, amending the Comprehensive Speed Zone Resolution for the Chino Municipal Code, updating speed limits throughout the city. Our Transportation Manager, Dennis Rawls, will give us the staff report this evening.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Before you tonight is a resolution reaffirming the Comprehensive Speed Zone Resolution for setting speed limits inside the city of Chino. Setting speed limits is done by an engineering and traffic study. Those studies were performed back in 2021. On October 5th of 2021, the City Council approved the speed limit change, which included 164 segments in the city. In that approval, there were 4 segments that were left unchanged. The city decided not to raise speed limits at that time. We were concerned about the increase in speed limit might have onto the public safety. So it was, we decided to take that back as staff to reassess those speed limits. After the approval of the speed limits back in 2021, the state law changed. Assembly Bill 43 changed the methodology used for approving speed limits within the city of Chino, or throughout the state of California. With that change, the most significant change is how speed limits are calculated. You may remember that the 85th percentile speed is measured by the actual cars, a study of those cars that actually use the street. In the old method, that 85th percentile speed was rounded to the nearest 5-mile increment. The new law now allows us to round down to the next 5-mile-per-hour increment, effectively giving us almost an additional 5-mile-per-hour reduction in speed limits at our disposal. And so this chart just shows how that would be applied in various cases. For example, an 85th percentile of 42.5 miles per hour in the old methodology would automatically go up to 45, now would go down to 40. So in doing that, we'd like to bring back the 4 segments that were originally left out of speed increases, which would now keep those speed limits at their current posted speed. Those streets include Park Place, 10th Street to Benson, which will remain at 30 miles per hour, Norton Avenue from Chino to Riverside, which will also remain at 30 miles per hour, Eucalyptus Avenue from Mountain to Euclid, which will remain at 40 miles per hour, and West Preserve Loop from Main Street to Bickmore, which will remain at 30 miles per hour. Please note that Park and West Preserve Loop are in school zones, so when school is in session, those have posted 25-mile-per-hour zones and are enforceable with the California Vehicle Code. With that, the change for you tonight is really no change at all because the speed limits are already set at these posted speeds, so the resolution tonight just reaffirms the current speed limits and allows us to reset these additional 4 intersections and include them in the 2021 studies. So with that, staff recommends approval of Resolution 2022-030, reconfirming the speed limits in the city of Chino. With that, I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Or questions? The street that I live on is an unofficial speedway. And I mean, it's crazy. It's residential, and we have a couple of young people that have Mustangs, and they have assumed that is their own personal drag strip. Well, someone from the city put out a speed electronic sign, and amazingly, they have slowed down. So thank you very much for the sign. We all appreciate it. But it's crazy. You can hear those cars winding up when they turn that corner, and it's all out. So, yeah, doggone it. I wish people would maintain their correct speed limits. So with that, I would entertain a motion and a second. Motion from Councilman Flores, second from Councilperson Comstock. Item passes 5-0. Item number 18, award of contracts for street maintenance services. This is to award a contract to Ecns Striping Company Incorporated in Ontario for street striping and pavement marking services maintenance in the amount of $312,569.05, and award a contract to Hardy and Harper Incorporated, Lake Forest, California, for as-needed asphalt pavement removal and repair replacement services in the amount of $418,100. Staff report this evening will be provided by our Public Works Services Manager, Mr. Dave McAbee.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. As part of the city's ongoing street maintenance program, these contracts will allow Public Works to continue its efforts in maintaining the city's streets and roadways. The work included in these contracts will include asphalt repair and street striping throughout the city. Providing these maintenance services ensures the city's streets are maintained appropriately. It not only enhances the overall aesthetics of the city, it also increases roadway safety. Ecns Striping is the current contractor for street striping services. Hardy and Harper is the current contractor for as-needed asphalt repair services. Each have contracts that are set to expire on June 30th, 2022. Specifications were prepared, and on March 22nd, 2022, 2 notice inviting bids were released and published on Planet Bids and in the Chino Champion for these services. On April 12th, 2022, the city received 4 bids for street striping services and 2 bids for the asphalt repair services. J&S Striping Incorporated was determined to be the lowest, most responsive and responsible bidder for the street striping and pavement marking services. Hardy and Harper was determined to be the lowest, most responsive bidder for the asphalt repair services. The initial agreement term for each contract is 3 years with the option for the city to extend for 2 additional one-year periods. The extended initial term allows the city to lock in the unit prices over the life of the contract. Staff anticipates the contracts will be renewed annually with the expenditures accounted for in future fiscal year budget cycles. Therefore, staff recommends awarding a contract to J&S Striping Incorporated for street striping and pavement marking services in the amount of $312,569.05, along with expenditures of $80,000 for extraordinary work for a potential annual contract amount not to exceed $392,569.05. Staff also recommends awarding a contract to Hardy and Harper for as-needed asphalt repair services in the amount of $418,100, along with expenditures of $100,000 for extraordinary work for a potential annual contract amount not to exceed $518,100. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions on these items.
That would like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, I have a quick question for you related to street repair. Sure. I know we have been waiting anxiously for our pavement software program that will tell us where to appropriately putting money into our streets because we have a lot that are deteriorating. Can you tell us where we stand on that program?
I can tell you we're very close, but I would have to defer that to either Amr or Nick to give you specifics on that.
Okay.
Here and council members, we are wrapping up the final document for that. I believe it's scheduled for a council presentation, I believe in second meeting in September. So we'll be coming to your second meeting in September at a workshop.
Okay, terrific. Well, we desperately need that program to tell us where to put the money in the best areas to save our streets. Many of them, as we heard from our residents, quite regularly are deteriorating quickly. So really looking forward to that software program coming forward. Thank you, Amr. Council comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, we need a motion and a second, please. Motion from Councilman Flores, second from Councilperson Comstock. Item passes unanimously. Next item, number 19, award of contract for landscape maintenance services. Award an agreement for services to Landscape West Management Services Incorporated, Anaheim, California, for public parks and facilities landscape maintenance services in the amount of $816,323.66, and award an agreement for service to Merchant Landscape Services Incorporated, Rancho Cucamonga, for landscape maintenance for maintenance districts in Magnolia Channel in the amount of $607,207.49. Once again, our staff report is from Dave McAbee.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're very expensive this evening.
I apologize, Mayor. Thank you. As part of the city's ongoing landscape maintenance program, these contracts will allow Public Works to continue its efforts in maintaining our city parks, facilities, maintenance districts, and the Magnolia Channel. Providing these maintenance services ensures the parks, facilities, parkways, and other landscaped areas are maintained appropriately. This not only enhances the overall aesthetics of the city, it also improves the quality of life for our residents. CLS is the current contractor for parks and facilities. Merchants is the current contractor for the maintenance districts and Magnolia Channel. So each have contracts that are set to expire on June 30th of 2022. So specifications were prepared, and on March 17th, 2 requests for proposals were released and published on Planet Bids for these services. On April 5th, 2022, the city received proposals for both RFPs. 6 proposals for parks and facilities were received, and 2 proposals for the maintenance districts and Magnolia Channel were received. Landscape West Management Services Incorporated received the highest rating and submitted the lowest cost proposal, meeting all of the RFP requirements for parks and facilities landscape maintenance services. Merchants Landscape Services received the highest rating and submitted the lowest cost proposal, meeting all of the RFP requirements for the maintenance districts and Magnolia Channel. The initial agreement term for each contract is 3 years with the option for the city to extend for 2 additional one-year periods. Therefore, staff recommends awarding a contract to Landscape West Management Services for Parks and Facilities Landscape Maintenance Services in the amount of $816,323.66, along with expenditures of $100,000 for extraordinary work, for a potential annual contract amount not to exceed $916,323.66. Staff also recommends awarding a contract to Merchants Landscape Services Incorporated for landscape maintenance services of the for our maintenance districts and Magnolia Channel in the amount of $607,207.49, along with expenditures of $100,000 for extraordinary work for a potential annual contract amount not to exceed $707,207.49. That concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions on these items.
Thank you very much, Dave. Are there any questions from the audience? Any questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, we need a motion and a second to approve item number 19. Motion from Councilman Flores, second from Councilperson Comstock. Item passes unanimously. Item number 20, drought resource action, or response action, I'm sorry. Adopt Resolution 2022-037 declaring a Level 1 and a Level 2 water supply shortage. Staff report this evening will be provided by our Utilities Engineering Operations Manager, Dave Crosley. Mr. Dave.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Item number 20 on your meeting agenda, titled Drought Response Action, includes a recommendation for approval of Resolution 2022-037, declaring a Level 1 and a Level 2 water supply shortage. The state of California is experiencing extreme drought conditions that adversely impact the state's ability to deliver water via the State Water Project. This impact is translated to Southern California in the form of reduced imported water, surface water supply, and in turn translated to the city in the form of an allocation of imported water supply that is less than what would otherwise be available. Due to the drought, in March of this year, Governor Newsom issued an executive order that required the State Water Resources Control Board to consider adoption of emergency regulations. And on May 24th, the State Board adopted regulations titled An Emergency Regulation to Reduce Water Demand and Improve Water Conservation. Those regulations specify that urban water suppliers implement their water shortage contingency plans for a water supply shortage level of 20%. The emergency regulations shall remain in effect until January 18th, 2023, or until the state acts to end, modify, or readopt the regulations. The Chino City Council, recognizing the importance of water conservation, approved permanent water use restrictions for the city's water service area that were implemented in the year 2009. And in the year 2015, approved supplemental measures during times of declared water shortage or emergency. Many of these permanent water conservation measures are the same as those recommended by the state for a 20% water supply shortage condition. However, the state board's emergency regulations require some additional water use restrictions beyond the city's permanent measures, including a ban on the irrigation of non-functional turf with potable water. City staff are making adjustments to city properties' irrigation activities to achieve compliance with the emergency regulations. The city is fortunate that only a relatively small portion of its total potable water supply comes from imported water that is subject to the imposed allocation. Most of the city's potable water supply is from locally produced groundwater that is insulated from drought conditions. And the city is undertaking multiple capital projects that will enhance its ability to produce more groundwater in the near future. Still, the city is required to impose water use restrictions corresponding to a water supply shortage of 20%, even if it has adequate supply to satisfy its water demands. The State Water Resources Control Board has posted information on its website that states, and I quote, "The drought emergency is statewide, and conservation is important to extend water supplies in the event of continuing drought. All water suppliers have the ability to support water resilience through additional conservation," close quote. City activities designed to enhance water customer awareness of the importance to conserve water, current water use restrictions, and locally offered voluntary participation conservation programs include increased outreach through social media and printed flyers, which are available at City Hall and also inserted with monthly water consumption billing statements. Additionally, the city coordinates with the Inland Empire Utilities Agency and other local water agencies on regional messaging. City water customers can find detailed information describing Chino water use restrictions and water conservation programs on the city's website at www.cityofchino.org/water conservation. City water customers may also contact Public Works Department staff by calling area code 909-334-3282 for information pertaining to water use restrictions and water conservation programs. In consideration of the prevailing drought conditions impacting the city's imported water supply and the corresponding need to address that reduced imported water supply by implementation of enhanced water conservation demand management and to comply with the state's emergency regulations, staff recommends City Council approval of Resolution 2022-037, declaring a Level 1 and Level 2 water supply shortage condition pursuant to the city's water shortage contingency plan. That concludes my report. I'm happy to respond to any questions.
Thank you, Dave. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on item number 20? I know there are rebates available, Dave, and we have links for people to find those rebates like turf replacement, things like that.
Yes, Mayor, that information is available on the website.
Okay. Also, where I was employed before I retired, Chino Basin Water Conservation District will also do free analysis of your property to help you save water. So I encourage you to contact them if you'd like them to come out and do a survey of your property and give encouragement and suggestions on how to save water. They have some very talented people that work there and have some great ways of saving water, converting your property to drought tolerant. Anyone on the council have comments? Okay, then we need a motion and a second, please. Motion from Councilperson Comstock, second from Councilperson Flores. Item passes unanimously. Thank you, Dave. Item number 21, Truck Van Storage Ad Hoc Committee. This item is to create a truck and van storage ad hoc committee and appoint 2 city council members to serve on that committee. Report this evening will be provided by our assistant to the city manager, Jack Morgan.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. As the council is aware, and as a reminder to the public, given the changes in consumer behavior and the subsequent increase in demands to accommodate growing tendencies for online shopping, included in the council and city manager's goals is for staff to evaluate sites for truck and or van storage, as well as its potential revenue. Now, staff has been evaluating different options for the council's consideration, and some of these options could potentially entail partnering agencies that would need to internally work through different options or proposals. Now, certainly an internal deliberative process is an important aspect to any organization, and we want to respect that process by not committing any potential party to a possible alternative. However, we also want to provide the council updates and receive feedback as well. So we're trying to strike a balance on how we communicate this going forward for the time being. Also, it's important to note that in potentially working with other entities, the city may realize a longer lead time than what was initially anticipated. And therefore, to better accommodate these potential options, while also engaging with the representation of the council, it is requested that an ad hoc committee be formed to help guide this process until its conclusion when a recommendation is brought back to the entire council at a public workshop, at which point the ad hoc committee would dissolve. Ultimately, by forming this ad hoc committee, staff will be able to continue to work through different options, communicate the requirements or drawbacks of each option, receive feedback, and better formulate a recommendation for a future meeting. Therefore, to continue this process, it is staff's request that the council form a truck/van storage ad hoc committee and appoint 2 council members to serve on this committee. The committee would help craft a recommendation and would dissolve once that recommendation is presented to the council at a public workshop. That concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Thank you, Jack. Do we have any questions, or do I have 2 volunteers for the truck van ad hoc committee?
Volunteer.
Okay, Councilperson Comstock volunteers. Any second volunteer? And Councilperson Lucio. So we have 2 appointees.
Thank you.
It's against what they taught me in the police academy, Mayor, but I am volunteering.
Okay, remember that. She gets all upset when I appoint her to things, so she's volunteering for this one. Okay, I need a motion and a second to support the commitment of Councilperson Comstock and Mayor Pro Tem Lucio to this ad hoc committee. Motion from Councilman Flores, second from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio. Item passes unanimously. Don't complain when you have meetings. Okay, next under Mayor and Council reports, I'm going to quickly run through the ones that I have attended since the meeting a couple weeks ago. On the 18th, I attended the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast, very well attended. I had a meeting with Randall Lewis about concerns with development and attended the strategic planning session. On the 19th, I attended the Water Facilities Authority Board of Directors, Water Master Advisory Committee, the Public Works Luncheon, which was a lot of fun and well attended, and the budget workshop. On the 23rd, we all attended the interview with a consultant for the general plan update. On the 24th, West Valley Mosquito Vector Control Board of Directors, and attended the Measure Y Forum that evening. On the 25th, West End Mayor's Roundtable. The subject was homelessness and some possible help coming out of the governor's office. On the 26th, Water Master Board of Directors, Chino DeSalter Authority Finance Committee, and then met with Ed Conjoyan and Trent Wild regarding a project that they have that Army Corps of Engineers is holding up. On June 1st, Omnitrans and San Bernardino County Transportation Authority Board of Directors. On the 2nd, Chino DeSalter Authority Board of Directors and Inland Empire Utilities Agency Sewerage Policy Committee. On the 3rd, I attended the senior birthday event, and then today, this morning, we had a special meeting to interview candidates for the city manager position. Mayor Pro Tem Lucio.
Yes, I'll make mine brief. On 5/19, I attended the budget workshop here at City Hall. On 5/23, I attended the grand opening of Raising Cane's ribbon cutting ceremony. It was a great turnout. On 5/30, I attended the American Legion Memorial Day ceremony service that they had. On 5/31, I attended the Chino Hills State of the City presentation. On June 6th, I attended the Infrastructure Streets Committee update. We got some updates on some of the street improvements that we're going to be doing around the city. And on June 7th, I attended the city manager interviews, and that's all I have.
Okay. Councilperson Comstock, in addition to your report, you also have item number 22.
Thank you, Mayor. Prior to getting into my report, I'd like to ask for the council's support on the following community support fund contributions: to the Chino Police Officers Foundation for $500, the Chino Valley Firefighters Association for $500, Chino National Little League for the amount of $500, Chino Valley Seroptimus Club for the amount of $500, You Choose Positive Youth for $500, Chino Girls Fast Pitch Softball, $500, Don Lugo High School Sports Boosters, $500, Chino High School Sports Boosters for $500, Rancho del Chino Rotary Club, $250, and Chino Police Explorer Post 211 for $250.
Okay, with that, we need a motion and a second. I made the motion. The second is from Councilman Flores. Please vote Your item passes 5-0. Your report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. My report tonight will be brief. We've covered that we've attended the budget workshop, the strategic plan update, and of course, the city manager interviews today. I do just want to touch on one thing that I attended, which I thought was very nice, was the Public Works, American Public Works Association luncheon that we hosted. Their slogan for this year is Ready and Resilient, and our Public Works team does a great job. It was nice to have a good turnout by the council. It was a good day for our public work crew. But I'm certain, Mayor, that our Public Works crew is probably looking forward to the most to the downtown and facilities master plan. We talked a little bit about that with the team while they're down there, so just another thank you to that. My report is a little short tonight because I was actually out of the state on vacation for 2 weeks, so good to be back and back to work. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Flores.
Hi, everyone. I have a long report, but I'm not going to go through it. I have a list here. I was out and busy in the community over the last couple of weeks, but I just want to share two things. Number one, I want to say thank you to our Public Works Department. If you drove around, at least in my area, really north of Schaefer Avenue, you probably noticed a lot of orange cones up, and that's because a lot of our sidewalks were repaired over the past week, and it was just, somebody called me an MVP, but truthfully, Public Works Department, you're the real MVP, so thank you. The second thing I want to report is I would like for, the entire city to, give a round of applause to one of our nonprofit organizations who was awarded the California, or Nonprofit of the Year Award. They were Nonprofit of the Year Award and nominated by in California, and that is Isaiah's Rock. So tomorrow, Isaiah's Rock and some of its members will be at Sacramento receiving an award, and on behalf of, their hard work and dedication to the community. So I just want to say congratulations to Isaiah's Rock and all the work they're doing and the work they continue to do. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, yes, and congratulations to Isaiah's Rock. Councilman Pocock.
Thank you. On the 18th, I attended the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast. On the 19th, Public Works Lunch. Thank you very much, Public Works. And the Budget Workshop, same day. And on the 23rd, of course, Raising Cane's, and I was there. And I enjoyed the good food they had. On the 30th, a Memorial Day ceremony at the community building. And Mark Lucio was the speaker, and he did a fine job. 31st, Chino Hills State of the City. And the 3rd, senior birthday party with Mayor Ulloa. I felt right at home there.
We both did. It's sad when the seniors are younger than us.
And 7th, today, a special meeting to interview for city manager. And also, I want to say that I voted, and congratulations to Isaiah's Rock. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. City manager, any additional information this evening? Okay, city attorney, anything additional, Fred?
No comments other than to say it seems like the city's, the measure that the city council has put forward is leading.
Seems that it's passing, yes, which is good news.
No further report.
Yeah, Captain Minson, standing in for our chief.
Thank you, Mayor. Just real quickly, on behalf of the chief, our prayers to, I want to speak to you and the council and our community. Our prayers go out to the families of the tragic event that happened in Uvalde, Texas. This was extremely tragic, and I want to, the information coming out regarding to the police response is not certain right now. But I want to take a moment to talk about our protocols and training here at the Chino Police Department in regards to active shooters. God forbid if we had an active shooter incident here in the city of Chino, but if we did, our officers will engage and protect the community. And this is reaffirmed by our training and our protocols. And matter of fact, in 2008, we actually had an active shooter incident that occurred at the Rio Ranch Market. And our officers responded, they engaged, and because of their heroic actions, lives were saved that day. So real quick, I want to talk about our training. This past April, our officers conducted what we call drive-through training on active shooter response. Next month, we have scheduled joint training with the Chino Valley Fire Department on rescue task force training. And then every 2 years, our department conducts a large training exercise on active shooter responses. And we always schedule these at our local schools. And so we have one, and we do that in combination with the fire department, and every sworn member of the department is trained. We have one scheduled coming up in December at Chino High School. We schedule these during the breaks, so when the kids are out. So it'll cover two things. Obviously, the new Chino High School will give all of the officers in our department the opportunity to go through the new school, train in it. We've done this at Don Lugo, Walnut, the adult school. So we found it very, very beneficial. That concludes my comments, unless you have any questions.
Well, I just want to compliment the whole department. I mean, the training has been stellar. You guys are always there when called. We never get any kind of complaints at all about non-response. If anything, we always get the comments about how fast you respond. And of course, the partnership with the fire department is like none other. And we all benefit from that. So thank you very much for having a very caring department.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll pass that on to the men and women of the Chino Police Department.
Any other comments for Kevin?
You know, Kevin, and I'm sure you guys already do this, but we have a larger police presence here in Chino than we do in our neighboring city. So I would just hope that you guys do work with Chino Hills so that, you know, their response time is going to be significantly longer coming with their backup coming from Rancho Cucamonga, that you guys respond there and obviously take care of whatever situation is with them. So I would just ask that you guys try to join them with, you know, training at Chino Hills High and obviously Ayala High School, just so that we know you guys are going to get there faster than their backup coming from a longer location. So that would be my only ask.
Thank you. Yes, we definitely will.
Great. Thank you very much.
Captain, one more thing. I had a couple people reach out to me this week after Uvalde and ask what, you know, just from my former employment, how I thought the Chino Police Department would handle an incident similar to Uvalde. And I also explained that we are tried and tested and trained routinely. And while we certainly would, you know, like you said, God forbid an incident like this ever come to the city of Chino, but I am very confident in the capabilities and the high training standards of the men and women of the Chino Police Department, that they would be there to protect our community and our children as quickly as possible. So thank you. Please pass that on.
Will do.
Thank you, Kevin. Chief Williams.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Still, for us, it's still, everything revolves around the ambulance issues that we continue to face. We're continuing to work through those. Just a quick report for the month of May, we responded to 141 medical incidents, transported 62 patients to the hospital. And since we've started running our own ambulances at the fire district on July 3rd, we've responded to 5,242 and transported 2,218 to the hospital. So it continues to be effective. We continue to make our presence known and make sure that we make those requests open and transparent in our request to provide services if we're permitted that opportunity. We were able to extend our current assistance by hire agreement with the local vendor through the end of June. We continue to make the ask to continue to do that until the county decides what they're going to do globally in solving this problem. This Friday, I will be attending a county ambulance request for proposal workshop. The city managers and I have been in conversations about that, and he's aware of that. But it'll be Friday at the County Government Center at 385 North Arrowhead. And we're not certain that they're going to be receiving input at this time, but we're going to be prepared as a county fire chiefs group, city managers, and dignitaries to represent and make our interests known at that meeting. Moving on to recruitment, we have 7 firefighter paramedics in background. This will be the first time since I've been at the fire district in about 15 years that we've been able to bring our staff up fully. For whatever reason, like many industries, we're continuing to experience staffing challenges. And I think since I've been here for 14 years, every 6 to 8 months, we've hired between 4 and 14 people, which is a lot for an agency our size. So we're happy to state that we're going to be up to full staff here shortly. We also want to thank the introduction to Mr. McAfee. He's helping me get through the process and get an HR director position filled. So we're really happy with being able to make the introduction here at the council chambers with Mr. McAfee. And we have 2 mechanics in our background process, and we look forward to getting them hired on soon so we can keep our units on the road and keep them safe. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Dave, how long do you think this whole process regarding the ambulance service is going to take? Do you have any idea?
So the county has created their request for proposal, which I believe was already supposed to be sent to the state medical authority. However, we've expressed some concerns locally to the local medical authority and asked that we have input on that. And so that has slowed the process up a little bit. However, that will go up to the state for approval at some point in the near future, likely in the next month or so, for the approval of the RFP process or what it looks like. It will then come back for the bid process. And we would like to do our own, but if we're not permitted to do our own at the Chino Valley Fire District, we would like to partner with other fire services to maybe have some sort of a partnership or see what other opportunities are out there. Obviously, the local vendors or ambulance companies will also put in, as they become interested, likely AMR and what other companies that are out there. If I'm going back in my memory correctly, I want to say that the intent was that this contract, that current contract will exist to the end of the spring of next year, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's when it ends. So they will need to get something awarded in short order. They can do an extension, as an example. If they say, hey, company A or fire service A, we would like we're going to award you the bid. They can request, the county can request an extension of the current vendor up to probably a year or so to allow that some of the parameters to be met so that company could come on board. So there's sort of a lot of moving parts there. Hopefully that answers some of your question.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, with that, we are going to adjourn to our next regular meeting, which will be held on Tuesday, June 20th.
Actually, Mayor, I'm sorry, we're going to
Oh,
go
that's
back
right.
into closed session.
Yes, we are going to recess back to closed session to complete items of discussion regarding recruitment. And after that, we will adjourn to our regular meeting on June 21st at 7 p.m. with closed session at 6 if necessary. So we are going to go back into closed session.
And just to clarify, this is on the public employment and/or public employee appointment concerning the title of city manager. Thank you.